Good morning, higher politics students. In today's lesson, we're going to introduce you to the idea of essay writing. Now, what we're going to be looking for is the essay writing skills we're going to be focusing on in today's lesson is the knowledge element. And the essay that we're going to have a look at is the 12-mark essay, Evaluate the Effectiveness of Traditional Grassroots Campaign Strategies. Now, in the exam, you would get two types of questions. You would get a 12-mark question and a 20-mark question. And in both those questions, you will get awarded 8 marks for knowledge. And so we're going to be looking at how you can gain those 8 knowledge marks in either a 12-mark or a 20-mark essay question. Now, the 20-mark question obviously is going to be much larger. So you've got knowledge here where you will get 8 marks, but there's also analysis, structure, conclusions, making the total of 20 marks. But we're going to be looking at how you just get these knowledge marks in the 20-mark question and also in the 12-mark question. In the 12-mark question, you also get the 8 marks for knowledge, and there's 2 ways in which knowledge is awarded. One is by looking at aspects of a question. Now, the aspects are the different things that you can look at, the different things that you will write paragraphs on. So, for example, when we're looking at traditional grassroots campaign strategies, if you mention 2 aspects of the question, you would talk about 2 traditional grassroots campaign strategies, 3 or 4, and you would get up to 4 marks for that. And then the second part is explanation and exemplification. Now, what we say that is to develop what you've already spoken about, the description you've made in your knowledge point, you explain it further, and then you bring in an example. You also get 4 marks for analysis and evaluation, and we're going to be looking at that in lessons next week. So our success criteria for gaining knowledge points are therefore, first of all, to introduce a point of description for one of the aspects. We're going to learn then how to develop that point with an explanation, and then we're going to learn how to bring in an example to illustrate the point. And to help you remember this, we come up with the initials P, E. Point, explain, example. Now, the Whitburn Academy skills that we'll be using today then are the thinking skills. First of all, you'll be thinking about the points and the examples that you will use to illustrate the aspects of the question. And then secondly, the communication skills. You're going to be communicating your ideas in sentences and paragraphs. Right, to illustrate what the SQA mean about point, explain, example then, I'm going to show you an example from the 2019 marking scheme. Now, this example here describes the use of leafleting as a grassroots method of campaigning. So we've got this point starting off. They may also use leaflets to try and make a connection with the electorate, as the candidate will come across as human rather than a career politician, and people are more likely to vote for a candidate that seems like a normal person. So this is a point explaining the use of leaflets, and that would get you 1 mark for your description of a point. And then they go on in the marking scheme. In the 2015 general election, spending on mail shots and market research from all political parties was 22.1 million. This was an increase from 12.3 million in 2005. So what you've done here is develop the explanation, so you get the second knowledge mark. And then lastly, we've got an example. This was seen with both the Liberal Democrats Duncan Hames and UKIP's Mark Reckless, whose election leaflets contained the candidates' wives and children's prominently. So altogether that would give you 3 marks. And you can get more than 3 marks if you put more points and examples in, but this is just part of the marking scheme that I've decided to share with you today. Right, I'm going to give you a second example now. This time it's where you're looking at canvassing as a campaign method. So here's a couple of sentences here. One of the most effective forms of grassroots campaigning is canvassing. Canvassing involves teams of volunteers going door to door in an effort to gain support for their party. Political parties have to rely on a strong base of activists for manpower to carry out widespread canvassing. Sometimes the politicians will speak to the constituents on their doorsteps or in the streets about key issues and to convince them that it is in their best interest to vote for them. Now this example here I think would get 2 marks. First of all, by talking about grassroots campaigning, a method being canvassing, and then so there's your point that you're going to get the mark for, and then followed it up with an explanation. But then we can put in an example. So in the 2017 and 2020 general election campaigns, Martin Day, who was the MP for Whitburn, used this method successfully to engage with the electorate and ultimately won his seat in Parliament. So that there would give you 3 marks. Point, explain, example. Now what your task is going to be today is to look at 3 aspects of traditional campaign methods. One is the use of databases, second one the use of battle buses, and the third the use of canvassing techniques. Now what I am going to get you to do is to write 3 paragraphs using the point, explain, example formula. So to make it a bit easier for you, what I've done is I've jumbled up a load of points here. Now all of these relate to grassroots campaign methods, and what I would like you to do is to sort them out into point, explain, example under the 3 headings, and then come up with 3 marks for each. 1 on canvassing, 1 on databases, and 1 on battle buses. Now these points also will appear in a Word document on the Teams page. Now when you've completed your 3 paragraphs, could you please put your completed work into the workbook on the Teams page. Now have a go at doing this. I suggest that you go through this PowerPoint twice, listen to the video twice, look at the examples twice, and when you've completed that, you can have a shot at doing this on your own. Miss Nichol or myself will be there to help you. That's what we're here for. So it'll be really good to see how you get on with your first attempts at writing point, explain, example. Okay, good luck. Bye-bye.